Hello everybody, welcome to Dandelion Cottage and Paper Crafting Saturday. I'm Leslie Watkins and I hope you're well today. I hope you have such beautiful weather as we have here. It's a beautiful spring day. The sun is shining. There's all sorts of swelling buds. The peepers have been out, which makes me so happy. And so I wanted to share with you a way that you could make some very easy nature studies. And I'm going to show you how you can do it with stamps and ink to make it even easier. So let's get started. So I've got some soft suede ink here, and hang on while I find my paper. This is a piece of crumb cake cardstock, and this measures 3 3/4 by 5. And I'm going to be using this stamp set today called Enjoy the Moment. And I want this to be a vertical. Just checking to make sure that we are live. And yes, okay, good. So I'm just going to mount up. I'm going to use the poppy pod design, and I'm going to use the sentiment Enjoy the Moment. And I've got my pad handy because I'm probably going to go over the edges of the paper. And I just want to leave this enough room for the sentiment, which is going to go down into the lower right hand corner. So I'm going to bring this up across the diagonal just like that. And that's a little darker than I want it to be. This is the soft suede, but on the crumb cake it looks very dark. So I'm going to do that over again. I'm going to do it on the back side. And this time I'm going to try it with crumb cake. And I just re-inked my crumb cake, so this is going to be a little bit darker than usual, but that's okay. That's better. That's more like what I'm looking for. Now the sentiment, enjoy the moment. There we go. All right, so that is the stamping done. Very quick and easy. And I'm going to grab one of my sponges, and I'm going to try first the crumb cake. Actually, I want to show you something. Sometimes when you cut a paper, you get a little bit of an edge that turns down. So when I originally stamped it on this side, this was the right side, and now I've got a tiny bit of an edge or a lip that points up, and I don't like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my bone folder, excuse me, and I'm just going to burnish those edges down, and now it's perfectly fine.
That turns down.
Okay, so now what I want to do is just taking my sponge, I'm just going to go around the edges and give that a little bit of a tone so it doesn't look, excuse me, let me get a sip of my tea here. I don't want these edges to look like they were just cut. I want to give it a little more of a finished feeling. There we go. Now you may have heard that there is a new list out of retiring products from the Stampin' Up! Catalog, and that is the company whose supplies I like to use best for my paper crafting projects. And one of the things that it looks like may not be carrying over are the sponges. So if you're interested in getting some of these sponges, now is the time to stock up on them. And I will be including a link after I do the video of all of the items that I show you today, so you can go and take a look and see if there's something that you might want to pick up. All right, so that's the basic design. I'm going to zoom you in so you can see it much closer. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some watercolor pencils So what I have here are the white, I have a gray, I have a dark brown, this is actually early espresso, and the basic black. I've got a blender pen, and I've got my chalk marker, which is a white chalk marker. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my early espresso, and I'm just going to put a little bit of a tone to warm this up a little bit. And I'm going on the shadow side. I'm staying away from the light areas. And then I'm going to go in with my white pencil, and I'm going to pick up the light on the light side of the poppy pods. Just like so. With a little bit of a highlight on the stems. Then I'm going to take my black, I'm going to add some dark accents. And if you're interested in learning more about shading and value and color mixing, you may be interested in my beginning watercolor class, where you can also use the watercolor pencils and apply the same concepts. And so I really recommend that you check that out. That will be starting on May 1st. So the information about that class will be coming out in this next issue of the Notes from Dandelion Cottage, and you can go right to my website, subscribe to Notes from Dandelion Cottage, and I will send you all the information about the upcoming classes. And I've got a bunch of them, and they're all kind of nature themed classes. So we will have a workshop with using the watercolor pencils. We'll be using watercolor. We'll be making nature journals. And I'll be showing you how you can do some very effective sketching very quickly out of doors with just a handful of supplies. And all of that will be listed below. All right, so there is my shading, but I'm not done yet because I just want to pick up a little bit of the highlights with my chalk marker. Now this goes on kind of bright, and then it dries to be a little bit darker, but you can go back over it again and just keep building up your lights until you get them just as you want them to be. There we go. Okay, so there is my very simple tonal nature sketch. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to adhere it to this little nature sketchbook that I made. So this is just a bound book, and it has several pages. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 pages. It's all bound in securely, and it has this lovely closure that you can just tie to keep it shut using the linen trim. And the cover is early espresso, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my poppies that I just colored, my poppy pods. I'm going to give that plenty of glue. I'm going to get pretty close to the edge because I don't want this peeling up, because I expect this little book to be in my bag and get a lot of rubbing. When I say my bag, I'm talking about my watercolor kit. I'm just going to adhere that onto the cover like so. And coming up in April is going to be a workshop on making journals. And I'm going to be showing you how you can make several different types of journals similar to this. So this is one of them. So there we go, and it's filled with this toned paper. So this is great to use the watercolor pencils in for the sketches. And if you do one that you want to take out, you can just take it out of the journal and use it on a card if that's something that you'd like to do. So there is a very cute little nature's sketchbook that's very useful. You can make a lot of these, and hopefully you'll be filling them up very quickly with all of the wonderful things that are going on out there in the spring. And I just want to give you a little preview of some other things I want to show you. Now you may have seen these already, but here's an example of a bird's wing that I did also on the crumb cake cardstock using the watercolor pencils. Here's a little tone-on-tone card with some bling, and it features this little squirrel which is painted, or actually it's sponged with ink, and then it has a little bit of a highlight with the chalk marker. And here's another example of a tone-on-tone. This time we have a card with a lot of texture. We've got an embossed background, and we've got a heat embossed poppy pod with the gold embossing powder and some decorative designs in the back. So that gives you an idea of some of the things that you can do with just a couple of tones on toned paper. But I also want to show you some of these sketchbooks that we're going to be making. So here's one. This is undecorated, so you can decorate the cover any way you like. This one has a pocket in it, and it has watercolor paper bound in it so that this one can be used for watercolor painting. It also has another pocket in the back. And this one is just a simple portfolio that you can use to, if you have loose pictures, so if you're using the, for instance, the Fluid 100, and you just want to pop your pictures in there to keep them safe and away from any scuffing and dirt or moisture. So that's what I've got to show you today. If you're interested in joining me for the Nature's Sketchbook class, please go to dandelioncottagedesign.com and subscribe to Notes from Dandelion Cottage. And on the first of the month, I will send you a newsletter that will have all the information that you need to register and the supplies and everything else that is going on in April, and also the beginning watercolor course that's coming up in May. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you get outside this weekend and enjoy the beauty of spring as it unfolds. And if you are interested, later today I have a live Zoom presentation. It begins at 2 p.m. I've got a couple of spots left because of some cancellations at the last minute, and you are welcome to join me for a free class on painting birds. And we're going to be featuring woodpeckers, and there's going to be Dr. Eileen Fields from the Sharon Audubon Center is going to be presenting a natural history of eastern woodpeckers, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So I hope to see you there. Stay well, stay happy, stay creative, and I will see you next time.